I've never worked corporate. I started my business during the pandemic and I've learned a lot of things the hard way. So, if you're early on in your business or you're pivoting, here are 10 things I wish I knew or did sooner. Most people go down a more traditional job route. I think if being an entrepreneur was easy, more people would do it. I just have always felt a repelling feeling when it came to working for somebody else or building a career in a company that I didn't believe in. There's really nothing wrong with going down the path of a traditional career or a corporate job, and I'm definitely not against it. I just knew that it wasn't for me. So I've always been pretty scrappy with how I've made money since I was 14 and I was gifted a Canon T2i. It was my first DSLR camera, and I was asked to do portraits. And I always loved photography, but I actually made some money doing photography. And if you're a photographer who does weddings, you know that $200 is comical, but it's where you may have started as well. And that's where I started. I did a couple weddings for $200, or I was always the friend who was asked to do high school senior portraits, things like that. So when I got into my 20s and I lived in the city of Chicago, I was again pretty scrappy. Once I got into the flow of going to school, I did do a free internship at an art gallery locally, but other than that, I always worked in like the service industry, like coffee shop or restaurant, where I could make tips. And at least in the United States, you make tips a lot with that. It's funny because like I'd work multiple part-time jobs. I remember working at the coffee shop. I remember working for a studio, like a boutique business, where I would take photos and do their graphic design and stuff like that part time. And then I would find a way to get freelance work, whether it's for graphic design or photography projects. Since I didn't go down the more traditional route of maybe getting a 9 to 5 or working corporate, I just can't really relate to a lot of the entrepreneurs out there because, I mean, typically you see entrepreneurs go down that route. You start somewhere and then you're able to finally quit, and it's because your side hustle is becoming your main hustle. I actually almost went down the traditional corporate route because I interviewed for a company that was looking for a media person, so somebody who would like go to events and things like that and film videos and take pictures. But then the pandemic happened and yeah, just didn't work out. So that's where I started my own business. I mean, I was very influenced by like the virtual assistant revolution on TikTok and Instagram and coaching businesses and service providers and blah 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 blah. I dove into it 2 feet first. And that was also during the time where I moved home. So I had that privilege, and I'm super grateful for being able to live at home for a bit. I mean, we still live at home right now and we're in a really good position, and I'm super grateful for it. I don't take it for granted at all. So when I started my business, I was kind of like in a experimental phase, which then just led to more trial and error. And that's just how it's always been for the last 5 years. Just after a month of marketing my services on Instagram, I got 3 retainer clients as a virtual assistant. And then after that, I've pivoted multiple times from creative assisting and graphic design and brand and website design, et cetera, et cetera. And then right now I have, again, multiple different roles. And it's just funny to look back at how it all has evolved because it's always full circle. I'm currently going from being in my 20s to being in my 30s. And I feel like it's a interesting parallel to growing out of the freelancer mindset and into the founder mindset. I do feel a lot more unapologetic and wiser. I feel like I have a list of skills that I just want to share and knowledge that I want to express and share as well. I love transformation and evolution, but this current situation that I'm in feels very extravagant. So, yeah, after reflecting on the business side of things, though there's so much I wish I did differently or wish I knew before choosing to do one or the other. I hope I can curate this list for you and help you if you're pursuing entrepreneurship or pursuing your next pivot to evolve. This is just my list that I came up with, and I'm sure I can add more to it. But these are some key things that I wish I knew or did during the first 5 years of my business. All right, so number one, working more does not equal being more productive. So I thought if I worked from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., sometimes later than that, I'd get more done and that would expedite my progress, my growth, and my sales, when that's actually not the case at all. I was sitting in front of my computer for like 12 hours a day, and I think only 1 to 2 of those hours were actually productive. Now, there could be a million and one reasons why that was, but there are actually studies that show that moving to shorter work weeks, such as 32 hours to 36 hours, can maintain or even increase productivity while improving your well being. It reduces anxiety, and it can also help reduce fatigue or burnout. So I work for my business in the beginning of the day, and then I work with a one-on-one done for you content creation marketing client in office a few times a week in the afternoon. And then in the evening, I clean for my partner's cleaning and property maintenance company Monday through Friday. I really have split up my day intentionally to work on those three key areas of where I make income. So, my business, with my client, and then with the cleaning company. So, I have a few different sources of income. And if I was to do the math, I probably work more than 4 to 6 hours a day, but they're in structured time blocks. So sometimes I work 4 to 6 hours for my business, and then I transition into working for my clients, and then I transition into working for my partner. Since I write and create a lot, I focus on having like that deep focus time. It typically in the morning. It's when I have the least amount of distractions, and that is key. Then the rest of the day, I have a more flexible and adaptable schedule. And I typically choose to work more like errands, calls, admin, things like that. Or I'll even have like a virtual coffee session with a friend or a peer. Number two is stop putting people on pedestals. There's like this weird power or hierarchy when you start comparing yourself to others online or in your industry. I used to compare my first few months to other entrepreneurs' first 3 years, or even compare my sales to somebody who has literally like a team of people working for them. I must be in like a similar energy pool as some creators and entrepreneurs out there, or we're all thinking the same, because this became even more true when I saw Chelsea Rife's podcast, The Art of the Ask episode, how to ask for what you want if you have imposter syndrome. I agree with so much of what she talked about in this episode. Do yourself a favor and listen to it, because it's honestly so good. Number three, structure creates freedom. As somebody who'd be considered restless or anxious energy sometimes, having the same routine every single week just does not work for me. I need more flexibility, ability to adapt and move things around without creating chaos. So, having rituals and systems has really helped me over time achieve my goals, regulate my nervous system, finish tasks, and even like push the needle forward in my business. So, if you're like, what is the difference between a routine and a ritual? A routine is a sequence of actions regularly followed, often on autopilot or mindless, whereas a ritual is technically a routine, but it has a sense of purpose, intention, and meaning, and it's more mindful. So I thought having like structure meant that I'd have to create a 9 to 5 schedule for myself. I've never even worked a 9 to 5, and I made a 9 to 5 schedule for myself. So I've tried that so many times, and it just doesn't work for me. Or once I start getting into more of a flexible flow, I'll find myself going back to a 9 to 5 because I think it's going to solve all of my problems, but actually it just makes me more frustrated, makes me more crazy. It creates tension for me personally. And if that did work for me, I'd just honestly go work for somebody else because it'd be way easier. So, yeah, if you feel like you're creating a 9 to 5 for yourself, but you literally left your 9 to 5 to not work a 9 to 5, maybe creating some sort of ritual or system would be better than trying to like force routine every single day. And all of this inspired me to experiment with like the different types of schedules and rituals. And there are different ways you can structure your day or week. You can do themed days. You could do the 4-day work week. You could do AB weeks. So many things. I have a Substack article on it. I will link it below. So what I've realized is that I can have structure with the day-to-day rituals and systems that keep my household and my business together, but also have the freedom to choose to move things around as needed. What I've realized is that I can have structure with the day-to-day rituals and systems that keep my household and my business together, but also have the freedom to choose to move things around as needed. Number 4, prioritize content marketing early. In my first YouTube video, I think I shared about the marketing cycle I felt like I was stuck. And I got really caught up in it as a service provider who relied on making money from just time for money, done for you services. I'd wait for the referral to feed my bank account, and when it wouldn't come in quick enough, I'd freak out and post a bunch online, do all of the salesy tactics you can think of just to try to get somebody to book. As someone who is creative at heart, that just like wasn't for me, and it was just a draining experience. Not only was it draining, but it wasn't a true example of who I am as a person. Though I love content marketing in the sense of like building my brand and sharing my perspectives and my stories, I want to help people in the masses. Like, I want to challenge their perspective. I want them to see the world in a different way than they're used to, or inspire them, teach them. If you're at a point where you're tired of guessing like what to post or how to talk about what you do in your content marketing, this is literally what I help creatives and founders inside like my one-on-one sessions do. Number 5, you don't need fancy tools. Man, I have pivoted my tools that I use for my business multiple times. I've tried all of the CRMs, I've tried all of the project management tools, I've tried different invoicing systems and banks and design tools, stuff like that. Shiny object syndrome is so freaking real. I've spent a lot of money just trying different subscriptions and things like that out. Most tools out there are pretty similar in the sense of their capabilities. Recently, I've reduced a lot of my business expenses. I think I pay less than $200 per month to operate my business. Maybe a little bit more because I purchased the script to edit my YouTube and podcast episodes, but I just canceled a video hosting program that costed me like $300+ a year when I already have Google Meets. I did eventually purchase Zoom again on a monthly basis for podcast recording. It's like everything is purchased with intention. And when I would purchase different programs, it was because people in my community or the people I was learning from were using those tools. It wasn't because I needed them. In my eyes, with programs and tools, simple is better. Reducing the amount of tools and subscriptions you use or have in your business is going to reduce a lot of stress. Number 6 is something I wish a lot more people could understand, see for themselves, or hear me out on, and that is it's okay to work a part-time job while running your business. My ego held me back so much times where money was tight and I didn't want to fail in my business. I felt like if I was getting a part-time job as an entrepreneur, I wasn't a real entrepreneur. I wasn't credible enough to solve my clients' problems or support them in their businesses, when that's so not true. That's just not true at all. And also, I started my entrepreneurial journey in the beginning of my adult life which is actually so crazy to think about. Like, I'm trying to save up for a house. I have school debt to pay off. There's so much that I want to do, but my ego literally told me that I would not be a successful entrepreneur if I worked a part-time job. Though I wish I got a part-time job sooner than later. So around year 3 of running my business, I started working with my partner and like helping him clean one of the buildings that he has under contract. And then I also signed up for dog walking for quick cash, babysitting, things like that. And I'm telling you, I can't even express how much stress has been released from my body when I went to a job, get some income coming in. Yeah, there were some months where I was doing so good, like it wouldn't even make sense for me to work part-time. But the thing is, I was in such like an experimental mode as well. Like I was trying it all. There are so many types of part-time work that you can take on that doesn't get in the way of your time or your freedom. And you could also do it based on like your energy as well. So I took up on dog walking, cleaning, I freelance photography, freelance graphic design. Like the opportunities are endless. But I think there's this huge misconception in the entrepreneurial world that you're not a credible expert if you are working part-time at a job. Like that makes no sense to me. We could dive way deeper on that topic if you'd like, or I'd love to have somebody on my podcast to talk about it more. I actually have a podcast episode with Lauren Husa where we talk about how her part-time work revived her business. So definitely go check it out. I'll link it below. Number 7 is a quick little inspirational quote, I guess. But if you can't stop thinking about it, just do it. Just try it. What you don't know is what you don't know. And I think a lot of the time, because there's so much to do as an entrepreneur and a creator, like there's so much you want to achieve, right? You have big goals, you're ambitious. But if you're in your head constantly spiraling on an idea, I think that's a huge sign to just give it a go and try it. If you fail, you fail. Or you could just reframe that failure into, wow, this wasn't meant for me, or, oh, this taught me blah, blah, blah. Experimenting is so important, and I think it could do you wonders if you just go for it. Number 8, leave the house. As someone who's chronically online due to curiosity and always wanting to learn something or be connected to others in some way, shape, or form, I found myself working so much from, I wouldn't even like go to coffee shops or events or anything. But when you leave the house, you're immersed with what's actually going on. And I'm not saying that online space is fake, but it can be a highlight reel or feel kind of performative. Recently, I've been out and about, though I'm still like frequently online, like I'm always online, but I've been living my life outside of the online space. And I've been really enjoying it. I think I enjoy it more than being online, to be honest. I'm reading books, I'm doing crafts, I'm like literally coloring my coloring book. I'm hanging out with other creative and my mom and family. And I am hoping soon to go to more events and network with other people. There is a way of marketing that I actually really want to try, and it's more of like connection marketing and just, yeah, connecting with others. I really like to create, document, and then share it with other people. I think that's where I really find myself drawn to the internet and our social media platforms. And I like to learn a lot from other people and hear their stories as well. But when it comes to running my business online and doing all the marketing and the sales on the internet, that's where it gets energetically draining sometimes. Number 9, take care of your body, mind, and soul. I don't know if it's just me, but sometimes when I get like super passionate about the work that I'm doing, I can like get so tunnel vision and not do anything else. And I look at the time and it's been 5 hours and I completely forgot to eat. Not that I was purposely forgetting to eat or I, haven't been outside all day. I'm just like so obsessed with what I'm doing. Is it obsession? Is it perfectionism? I don't know, but that's what I I've noticed in the last 5 years of doing the work that I do. So, time blocking and also creating like transitional periods. So, like, that's why I love how I structured my day of working on my business, then going to my client's office, and then cleaning. I have 3 different projects throughout the day, but in between there, I'll eat lunch or take a walk or commute. And that really helps me shift to a different role. But it also is helping me remind myself I'm human. I need to go to the bathroom. I need to eat. I need to rest. I need to cuddle with my dog, just things like that. Or even like having a hobby outside of your business is a really great way to take care of your mind, your soul, your creativity, your energy. Some things recently, like I said, I love to color in my coloring book. I've been collecting photos of my family, like old vintage photos. I really want to get into some scrapbooking. I just made a DIY Louis Carmen notebook with a friend. And yeah, there's just so many things that I want to do. I even do like word searches or Sudoku and things like that while watching a movie or a TV show at night. So yeah, there's just so much you can do, so many hobbies you can try. But I think that's really important to have outside of your business or even like your job. And number 10, my favorite, you don't have to say yes to everything. As somebody who's a recovering people pleaser, I say yes a lot, and I have said yes a lot in the last 5 years. This isn't just about saying yes to different types of client work, because in some cases in the beginning of your business you probably should say yes to a lot of inquiries that you get, even if it's not perfectly how you would sell it, the perfect price or the perfect amount of deliverables or perfect timeline. Sometimes it's better to say yes because the client, you have like a really cool vision for what they're looking for, you really want to work with them. Maybe they have like connections, things like that, and you're like, I want to say yes to situations that might occur that are similar to what I just explained. Not saying yes to everything in this context is virtual coffee chats, social events, or collaborations. Not everybody is going to align. And I think because we see so many people on the internet, we think, oh, we could collaborate, but do we have similar values? Do we have a similar target audience? Are we competitors? Are we not competitors? Do we vibe? Are you just trying to sell me something? I think being more intentional with our yeses can open up more possibilities than saying yes to everybody. In certain cases, we do have to protect our energy. We do have to protect our time and like what we're using our time to do. We're protecting our capacity. I just remember times really overextending myself, burning out, and then getting into some situations where I would have to cancel or reschedule. Yeah, some people take it personally. So yeah, I love that reflection of just learning how to say no or not at this time. There are so many nice ways to say it, but again, you don't have to say yes to everything. All of these things have been curated due to my own experiences. Honestly, I probably needed to learn it all firsthand, but if this helps you skip a few hard lessons or trust your gut faster, I thought it'd be worth sharing. If you're navigating your own pivot or growth phase in your entrepreneurial journey, don't forget to subscribe. Check out the links below in the description, or if you're listening to this on a podcast platform, check the show notes and let me know which one of these 10 things stood out most to your current situation in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Okay, bye.